Hi guys, and welcome to the first webinar from V1 Sports. We are putting on, the topic today is the V1 Pro app, and it's going to be a general overview of that app. But before I get into the app, I do want to mention that there will be a special emphasis today on delivering online lessons, especially with what's going on out there today in the world. We want to make sure that you guys are able to conduct your business remotely. And really harness the full potential of the V1 software. So with that said, let's just jump into it. I do want to touch on the V1 Golf app really quickly. This is the customer app or the golfer app. This is what your students and clients will be using to actually send and receive videos from you. They can simply click on this instructor button on the bottom, and then they can choose the academy and instructor that they like. You'll see there's a nice long list here of pros using our software. So that's pretty much how they'll connect with you. They'll select an academy here, choose the name, and then that makes you the instructor, so then they can simply send videos to their pro. And I'll show you really quickly what that looks like. Oops. Click on the three dots and you'll see one of the options is send video to my pro. So we would definitely recommend that you get your students to download this if you're going to be doing online lessons. There are other ways that you can receive videos and then import them into the software, but this is definitely the easiest way to do it. So for ease of use, we definitely recommend your students download the V1 Golf app. As always, we do also offer the V1 Pro Studio software, so that is available to you. There is 30-day trials available for all of our products, and if you have any interest, you can sign up online, or you can email sales@v1sports.com for more information. All right, but let's go ahead and jump into the Pro app now. So that's the black app here. And when you open it up, it automatically goes to your locker. So I'd like to really just start here. The locker, as many of you may already know, if you don't, welcome to the family. We'll teach you about it. The locker is essentially a cloud storage space. Okay, so this is going to get utilized to hang on to videos that you might want to delete locally. This is also going to be where some of your lessons get stored. Drill videos will get stored here as well. But really, you know, as an example, if you have multiple devices, this is how you're actually going to access those videos across those devices, okay? Because everything is stored locally. Nothing syncs automatically, so you have to take the step of uploading videos to your locker in order to access them across devices. There is a camera up at the top right corner. I do always like to point that out, but let's move along to the inbox. So I'm just going along the 5 tabs here on the bottom. In the inbox, so the main thing here is this is where those videos that your students are sending to you through the V1 system will show up. Again, you can import videos from outside of the system. So if somebody text messages you or emails you a video, you could always bring that into the V1 Pro app and use it there. But this is where videos that are sent through the V1 system are going to show up, all right? The outbox is just simply videos that are waiting to be sent out, and you'll just hit that refresh button up at the top right to send them out. And then obviously the sent is just a history of things that have gone out. Moving along to the library tab, this is where all your videos are going to show up. Let me show you the folder view here. Most of these folders will self-populate or self-name kind of as you maybe download a model. Now you'll have a model folder. You'll see I recategorized one of my videos to down the line. Obviously, I've conducted some lessons and created some student videos, so those folders have popped up. I think initially the only ones you'll see are all and new. All right, so these kind of self-populate, self-name. If you hit that plus symbol up at the top right, it gives you a few options. Download V1 model, just like it sounds, we're downloading one of those tour models for comparison or for analysis. New video capture, so this is another area to open up the camera and create a recording. Import content is importing drill and intro clip content. All right, so this is where you'll go to do that, and maybe we'll either touch on that today or possibly touch on that in another session. If anybody, and let me just throw this in there. If anybody ever has any questions, you can submit them here in the chat box. A gentleman named Jackson Bushway, who's my coworker, is actually going to be trying to pick those off and answer those for you. But if you ever have anything that you want to dive a little deeper into, we are happy to do training sessions. You could reach out to customer success, so it's customer student-success@v1sports.com, or you could reach out to jackson.bushway@v1sports.com. That's BUSHWAY, or will.clark@v1sports.com. We'd be happy to set you up with a training appointment, or at least answer any questions that you might have that go beyond just this webinar. Okay, that's it for the options on the library page. I'm actually going to jump over the students tab, if you guys see that one, and I'm going to go to the info tab. Couple key pieces of information on here. So the first would be the version of the software that you're using, and that's up there at the top. You'll see I'm on 3.124. If you ever have an issue, if you ever call support or ever reach out to one of us in customer success, that is probably one of the first things that we'll ask you for, is what version of the software do you have? That'll help us identify any issues that you might be experiencing. The other really helpful portion on this page is the online help articles. So these are really well laid out articles that can help you navigate really more of the easier situations. We do have some in there that can help you with more complex problems, but definitely the layups or the easy ones are definitely in these help articles. So we are here Monday through Friday, 9 to 5. We do answer emails outside of there, but if you feel like this is an easy one that you can just answer on your own, if you have the luxury of looking at an article about it, take a look in there and you're probably going to find your answer. Okay. So going back to the student tab, this is where we get into really how V1 functions, and I just want to make sure that everybody is not only utilizing the student database, but utilizing it correctly. So there's a couple key things in here. Obviously, you see I have some students already. I'm going to hit the plus symbol here, show you the different options. So you can enter details yourself, which is what we're going to do here in a second. You can also import from the address book. So if you have your contact list set up on this device, you could always import it directly. Syncing with Branded Academy, that's a big one. So when you got set up with an account at V1, we set you up with an online academy or a branded academy. Basically what Sync with Branded Academy does is it brings in any student data that might be as a part of your academy that isn't on this device. The key item there, though, is that you have to have taken an action with that student, meaning you have to either send them a video or send them a lesson. If you've done one of those two, that student data or that student file is then sent to our server and saved there. So then you can actually sync it and bring it into whatever device you want to. So if you're working on one device and that's it, you're probably not going to end up using this button very often. But if you are on the mobile app and the desktop side, let's say, and you have all of your student data on the desktop, this would be a button that you could use to bring in that student data onto the mobile device. Okay, and then scan. Scan is just like if you've ever scanned a barcode with your camera app. It works very much the same. You just scan the information and then it brings it into the system. So if you're interested in that, give it a try. But for now, let's go ahead and hit enter details myself. And you'll see this is the student file here. So I'm going to describe kind of what's on the page as I enter our name here, and I'm just going to put webinar. Email address. So you need to put in the email address twice. And the big reason there is that we get a lot of phone calls from customers that say that they didn't receive their lesson and they don't know why. Typically the reason is because the instructor has gotten the email wrong by one character or so. So we end up going into your files, which we do for you, the majority of the time when your customers reach out. And we make sure that the email is correct, and inevitably it's always off by one character or so. So we put in this kind of two-step authentication for those emails just to make sure that everything's going to the correct place. The mobile phone number. So we recommend the mobile phone number, and I'll tell you why. It creates a bit of a double opportunity for your students to receive their content. So just like I was saying, if they don't receive their lesson because the email's wrong, if you have the phone number in there as well, it gives them a second chance to receive that lesson. Okay, so hopefully you don't get both wrong, but your student might reach out and say, hey, I got the text message, but I didn't get the email. And that prompts you to go in there and say, okay, let me look at your email. Let me make sure that I have it correct, that type of thing. So definitely recommend the mobile phone number if the student is willing. Okay. Right above the student information, though, there is a little silhouette of a gentleman there. If you tap on that, that actually opens up your camera, and you can see I'm in my son's room here at home working remotely. But that is a chance for you to put in a picture of your student, especially helpful for those once-a-year tune-up guys. That allows them to, allows you to actually recognize them when they come walking up on the range. So it's a really helpful tool. Directly below the student data is actually a black box that you can pop open, and you can put in any notes on the student that you want. So if they have a physical impairment, or if they have a swing flaw or something that you want them to work on going forward that you haven't shared with them, put that note in here. So anything that can help you professionally, you can put in that little note section. Then obviously on the right here, we have the videos and lessons. So these are any videos and lessons that have been created for this student. All right, and I'll show you how we do this automatically, and this is kind of the beauty of the V1 system, if you ask me. But real quick, take note of the camera up at the top right. This is the camera that I think makes the most sense as far as the flow of business. So I'll show you what I mean. We hit the student button to go back to our student list, and you'll notice that there is now a webinar student right here. So I'll open them back up. That's our student file. And you'll notice now down at the bottom of the screen, it says current student webinar. That's a big piece of the pie when it comes to V1. We want you picking the student that you're working with as the current student. Okay, so what that looks like and the way you can do it is there's two ways. You either hold down on their name, which I'll do right now with this student. You'll notice that it now changes to their name. The other way to do it is to simply open up their file. So we'll go ahead and do that right now. Once I open it and I go back, you'll see that it's changed back to current student webinar. So I'll go into this student and kind of if I could start from the beginning, the way we imagine this is you're working with one student. Now it's time to go work with webinar. So we click on webinar's file. That makes the webinar the current student. We review any notes that we have on that student or any videos or lessons that we've created for them. And then we go ahead and when we're ready, we open up the camera from within the file. Okay, and I'm going to cancel that just so that we're not recording any videos of my son's room here. But it is it's a way to verify that you've taken the necessary steps to make that student the current student. And it also makes it so that those videos are going to be automatically associated. So that's what happens when you make somebody the current student, is everything that you create after that point is automatically associated with them. Okay, so for now, let's go back, and I'm actually going to pick a video from our library here. And we're going to go ahead and open this up. We'll go James Hahn here. Click Analyze, and now we're looking at James Hahn, obviously with some pressure data as well from the V1 Sports Pressure Mat. A couple things on this page. So let me go over, how to draw a few things. I'll just go over the tips and highlights. Again, I do want to get to the portion of delivering online lessons. So a couple highlights here. Using the diagonal line, there's a couple ways you can do it. Obviously, you can draw a somewhat straight line, and you'll see that that is snapping into place. So there's a snap function on there. Great way to use the line as well as the circle or the square is to use two fingers. So if you'll notice, if I put two fingers on the screen, it allows me to resize and reorientate that line really, really well. So when I'm looking to get a really straight looking line, I can, because I think if anybody's used these analysis software, programs out there, when you try to do a straight line, whether it's ours or somebody else's, it tends to flare a little bit left or right. And I don't know if that's because of the way we take our finger off of the screen, but it tends to flare left or right. This allows you to get that straight up and down 90-degree line right where you want it every single time. So it's a very, very powerful tool to be able to use those two fingers. Another way that you can utilize the two fingers is you can create angles with your two fingers. So I'm going to put my thumb and my index on the screen here, and then leaving my thumb on the screen at the bottom, I'm just going to put my index down maybe an inch to the left, and you'll see now I get a nice angle measurement. All right, you can achieve the same thing by drawing two separate lines, and you'll see now I have an angle measurement over there. Let me change the color so it's a little easier to see. right? So now I get an angle measurement just by drawing two separate lines. The key item there is make sure they are two separate lines rather than a, V that you draw with one stroke like that. So just make sure that you're doing two separate lines that meet at a common point, and you're going to get that angle measurement. All right, the circle is very much the same. You could draw a circle and it'll snap into place, but I definitely recommend just using the two fingers. You'll see it's that much easier to place the shape exactly where I want it. I could even go really tiny and place it over here on this gentleman. So it makes it that much easier to work with. The circle is the diameter of your fingertips, and all you got to do is just simply bring them closer together or move them apart to resize that circle. All right. The square has a great two-finger function. I've been told that there is a snap function if you draw it freehand. I obviously am not very good at drawing squares. Excuse me, but I would definitely recommend always using the two-finger trick when you're drawing a square. Makes it that much easier to work with, okay? Moving along, the pan and zoom tool here, you guys will see me use it when we get to the comparison tool, but it's just a way to zoom in on the video, move that golfer around, maybe get them, right there in the frame, maybe we zoom in on James a little bit, that type of thing. So it allows you to work with the video a little bit. The move tool, so let me put a shape on the screen. When I switch to the move tool, which is that arrow pointing at the circle, you'll notice there's now a little dot in the middle of my circle, and that's actually where I'll grab that shape to move it around. So the move tool allows you to move an already established shape, but my main tip with the move tool is that you're actually able to draw with it. So you can draw lines, you'll see them snap into place here, and they're already going to have the dot. I'll even draw a little circle, and they already have the dot. So if you're looking to do something, like maybe you're demonstrating something for a student, and you're going to be moving lines around, right? So let me grab it here. Maybe you're showing off his angle here, and then maybe another angle over here, and you're just constantly moving stuff around. If you're going to be doing that, go ahead and switch to the move tool and use the move tool so that you don't have to switch back and forth. So it's a very, very kind of time-saving tip there. Then obviously the erase function. So let me show you the erase function. If I draw a few lines here and I hit erase, it obviously gets rid of everything. One of the bigger tips here is, I'll draw 3 more lines, and then I'll just simply double tap on the screen. All right, and you'll notice only the most recently drawn item, one at a time, goes away. Okay, so very, very easy way to erase. There is yet a third way to erase stuff off of the screen, and let me just draw a few more on here. And then go ahead and shake your iPad or your iPhone like an Etch-a-Sketch. You'll notice that those lines go away. All right. So it's a really easy way to erase, great for demonstration, definitely a wow moment for a lot of students, at least when you're in person. But it's a very quick and easy way to get rid of things without having to click through any of the menus. Okay, so if you're drawing lines on the screen, rather than have your students see you click to the eraser, you can just give it a quick shake and that thing's gonna go away. Okay, that's pretty much it for the toolbar. I do like to point out that you can color code everything. Obviously you saw me change colors there. The big thing is don't do like green on green. You'll see that's kind of hard to see. Or like, red on red or orange on orange. We'll put an orange one on that guy in the back if you can even see it. So definitely try to make sure that you have some contrasting colors that's easy to see. You can see the white is really easy to see on almost anything. So just make sure that you're paying attention to that when you're using the different colors. But for now, let's go ahead and jump into the V1 icon, or the V1 action list as I like to call it. And I like to break this up into the top 4 versus the bottom 4. So you have the compare, flip, overlay, and trim. These are things that you can do to the video. And then the bottom 4, obviously with the exception of done analyzing, but I still like to think of the bottom 4 as things that you can do that involve sending the video, whether it's sending the video, a picture, or a lesson. All right, but let's go ahead and jump into the compare tool. When you hit compare, it's going to open up your library. This gives you an opportunity, and we're going to do it right now, to actually download a V1 model. So we'll hit the plus symbol, hit download V1 model, and that brings us here to our list. This is normally alphabetical, and let me try to get it there. Yep, it'll show up alphabetical normally. Aaron Baddeley, Adam Scott, that type of thing. If you hit the sort button to the right of drills, you'll actually see that it changes, and what it's changing to is the upload date. So if you look below Lindsay Weaver, the date is actually 3/4/2020. So that means that we uploaded this just a little over 2 weeks ago. Our marketing team handles that for us. So just about once a month, they're usually uploading a nice package of new swings. And I do want to point out real quickly, you'll see Stuart Sink, Scott Stallings, Ryan Palmer, all on this list right here with the word pressure next to the title. That is videos that we've uploaded that have V1 Sports pressure mat data associated with it. So really nice tool for those of you that are getting into the body track, V1 Sports pressure mat world. Good examples of what the different traces should look like or do look like with some of your better players. So that's there if you guys are interested. And then, so the one thing I do want to say is the upload date helps you actually identify videos that might be older or newer. So if you're looking for, 2011 Rory, I always use him as an example, despite the fact that his swing doesn't ever seem to change. But if you are looking for an older Rory swing, I think we do have him going back to maybe 2008, 2009. So just pay attention to those upload dates. They do, for the most part, correlate with when the video was created. So it makes it that much easier for you to kind of find the swing that you're looking for from each player. But for now, we're going to go ahead and download. Let's find somebody new here with no pressure data. So we'll pull up Ian Poulter down the line. We'll hit compare, and it's going to download the video. You'll see it's a very short, quick download. Depends on your Wi-Fi speed, obviously, but usually a very quick download. And then it says V1 Pro, open in split view. Always say yes to this. So we say yes. And now we've got our two golfers. We've got James Hahn on the top, and then we've got Ian Poulter on the bottom. I'm actually going to switch to my pan and zoom tool for just this reason. I want to get him on camera. And obviously we have a face on and a down the line. Not too important for right now, just at least for example sake. But you would obviously want to try to get down the line and down the line compared. But for now, this is fine. So we'll use the pan and zoom tool to get James, right where we want him. And Ian seems a little bit far away, so maybe let's do the same thing to Ian, right? So now we've got them both in the frame, about the size that we want them to be. The big thing when the videos are in comparison mode is how to control each video. In order to do that, you just simply need to tap on that half of the video. So I'll tap on James Hahn's side, and you'll see the whole screen, or that half of the screen flash. I'll do the same thing on Ian Poulter. That half of the screen flashes. So that lets you know that you're working with that video. You'll also notice that the timers at the top of each video are actually white when it's activated. So I'll show you on James, and then I'll go back to Ian, and now you'll see the timer is white. If you want to control both videos, you'll just simply tap both videos at the same time, and then that makes it so that they're now synced up and moving at the same time. You'll have to excuse the lag here over Zoom. But the videos are actually synced up and able to be moved at the same time just by dragging this bar, and you'll see that they're moving. Okay, so that's pretty much it for comparison. A couple good tips with this is, comparison is great for showing progress. A lot of times people get hung up on comparing swings to tour models. It's a great tool for comparing a golfer to their own swing. Right, so it's their first lesson versus their fifth lesson, and you're showing them the type of progress that they're making, in their golf swing. So really, really powerful tool for showing that type of progress and showing the student how far they've come. Which brings me to the overlay tool. So I'll tap on the V1 icon. You'll notice the overlay. If anybody noticed it before, it was grayed out, much the way that Trim and Send Video are right now. Overlay was grayed out. Now it's available because we have two videos in comparison mode. So basically, overlay is looking for two videos to be selected, and then it gives you the opportunity to, do the overlay, which I'll show you right here. Puts the images right up on top of each other. Good rule of thumb when you're in overlay, though, is think about it as though the video is still in comparison mode. So you still have a top and you still have a bottom, and I'm going to tap the top. And I'm going to zoom James out, right? Try to get him, fitting the frame a little better. And then maybe we'll do the same thing, tap on the bottom, try to get Ian. And obviously if these guys are in the same position, they would be able to kind of be, you know, interlaced or laced right up on top of each other. Another great tool for showing progress. You know, I was a golf professional myself for about 7 or 8 years, and I used V1 out there in the field before joining them as an employee. But I can tell you I didn't use overlay very much. It was not a tool that occurred to me as one that I wanted to use very much. But I will say this, I have had a lot of pros express to me since then that this is a very powerful tool for showing progress, especially the best example I was given was posture. So if you have a golfer on here who was hunched over at the beginning of your lessons with them, and now you've got them standing up nice and tall, this would be a great tool for showing that type of progress and showing them that their posture is that much better. You know, sometimes when you're looking left and right and you're trying to make a comparison, or the student is, you know, trying to make a judgment on what they see and whether or not they agree with you, you know, kind of, yeah, I think I see what you're talking about, and they're kind of darting left and right with their eyes. If you do the overlay, they don't have to look left or right. The proof is right in front of them. So they can actually see the image and say, oh my God, my posture is that much better, or I am standing up. It's so obvious, you know. I like to think of swing extension, you know, the width of the golf swing is also a very, you know, this is a powerful way to show that off as well. But we're going to hit done analyzing real quick. We're going to get rid of these model videos so that we're able to create a nice lesson out of it. So let me find a golfer. We got a golfer here, nice lefty. So we bring them in, and let me go back here. So now I'll show you the flip function. If you hit flip, it just flips them from a righty to a lefty, that type of thing. And then trim. So trim is very easy, but let me show you how it's done. So if you touch this top part, right, just like it's in comparison mode, you'll notice that the ball here is all the way at the left, right? And then let me touch the bottom frame, and the ball goes all the way to the right. So all it's asking you to do is, if I touch the starting frame, drag that ball to the beginning or where I want it to be, do the same thing on the other end, right? So maybe stop it a little bit. She's already pretty much trimmed at the end there. But you could drag that to, you know, change the ending frame or change the end of the video. And then when you hit the scissors and say okay, it goes ahead and trims that video. So now we have a new video with a new beginning, and we probably trimmed it a little too much, but that's okay. Let me start over here, go back. So go back to our original video. There we go. All right. So now I want to get into the bottom four, right? So now we have the send video, send snapshot, start lesson, and done analyzing. Send video, if you want to, you can just go ahead and give it a click, right? And it gives you a few options here. Upload to My Locker, upload to Student Locker, and export to album. So upload to your locker is just what we talked about at the very beginning. You have your cloud storage space, so this is where if you want to send it to that cloud storage space, just go right ahead, and you can hang on to that video for later. You can access that video across devices, kind of all of those options that I detailed in the beginning. Upload to Student Locker. So there's two things that you're going to send to a student. It's either going to be a lesson or it's going to be a swing video. Uploading a video to a student's locker is just sending the swing video. There's going to be no telestration. There's going to be no voiceover. It's just going to be the raw swing video. Okay, so if that's something you want to do, and this is especially important when you're clearing out, you know, storage on your device. If you have a video that you don't necessarily want to hang on to, but you want to send it to your students so that they might have it, you could always do that. Or maybe you did your voiceover recap with that student in person, so there's no reason to do the lesson, you know, that type of thing. But again, I am going to, you know, really go in depth on the lesson side just because I feel like that's where we're all at right now. Export to album, just like it sounds, it actually exports that video to your camera roll. It makes it usable there, so you could actually work with it maybe on Facebook, Instagram, any other way that you might want to share that video. I'm going to click out of there though. I'm going to go to send snapshot, which gives you a couple options. You got print, so if you're connected to a printer, you could always print out a nice handout for the student to take home. Email attachment, so email attachment works great. You know, the picture goes through really easily and quickly. But another way to work with the videos, obviously if you have the iOS device or the Android, you could always take a screenshot. So I'll do that right now just to show you what it looks like. There we go, and you'll see the whole screen flash. That puts that picture automatically in my camera roll. So if I wanted to text it to a student or share it in any other way or post it on Facebook, again, you could always do it. So that's the way to export it to your camera roll. All right, but let's go ahead and jump into the lesson recorder. So I'm going to hit Start Lesson, and I want you to notice a couple things. Down at the bottom, most of you will have a 5-minute countdown. I'm actually on a test version, so look out for the increased amount of time. But for now, it should be a 5-minute countdown on your mobile app, and then the student's name is right there. This student, in this case, is Webinar. So that verifies that you're making this lesson for the correct person. So just always pay attention to that before you put in any time and effort into creating a lesson for the wrong person. But you have 5 minutes. Everything that you say and everything that you draw is going to be recorded. So this is a great opportunity to utilize that time to break down the golf swing, do your analysis, talk to the student, that type of thing. We do have some good golden rules at V1. Short and sweet is definitely a good one. We've definitely found that the video is more likely to be viewed the shorter it is, so like 60 to 90 seconds, maybe 2 minutes at most. It's also more likely to be shared. So in the light of marketing and trying to spread the word on your teaching, the videos that are a little shorter are more likely to be shared among friends. It's like when somebody sends you a long video and tells you that it's funny, and you just sit there waiting to find out when you're going to laugh. This is kind of the same thing. The students share it with their friends, and if it's a 5-minute video, the friend is like, I don't really have this amount of time. So keep it short and sweet, and it'll be that much better for the student. And talk to the student. That's the other thing, is address them by name, rather than say, okay, this is what I see you're doing. Okay, you want to say things like, okay, Will, this is what I think you're doing. You're doing a great job of this, Will, and da-da-da-da-da. So address them by name, make them feel more personal, that type of thing. The other thing is to use, graphics, use the graphics to actually draw their attention, right? So immediately put a line for the shaft. Put a line for their stance, right? So then we're going to create a nice little stance measurement and a couple different lines. So draw them in with those graphics, get them interested right away, okay? As far as the lesson goes, you'll notice that when I hit the V1 button, it says lesson paused. So that's good for a couple reasons. If you ever need to pause and go back and then continue the lesson later, just hit that V1 button. It's going to pause it for you. And then you'll see that compare and flip are still options. So you can do comparisons, you can do flips. What you'll notice, though, is that your students aren't going to see you flipping through any menus, and that's because the lesson is paused, right? So they're not going to see you going through the library and finding a model and taking your time. So with that said, take your time. So take your time finding that model. When you come back, the lesson's going to resume, and you just simply need to click out of that menu, and you'll see that it's already going again at the bottom left. So I hit the V1 button again, and I pause the lesson. But for now, let's go ahead and hit End Lesson. So we hit End Lesson, and this brings us to our review page for that lesson, okay? Couple things on here. I like to break it up between the top, bottom left, and bottom right. So at the top, we have our chance to review the lesson. You'll see, I don't know if anybody can hear that, but that's me talking. I'll even drag it a little further so that you can see the lines get drawn. But that's a chance for you to review the lesson, okay? Everything that you said, everything that you drew, make sure that it's exactly how you like it. On the bottom left, so the bottom left involves sending out the video, starting with the title of it. And this is a good, strong recommendation. Definitely change the name of the lesson. Otherwise, they're all going to show up as lesson iPhone video. So to make it that much easier on you and your students when you go to reference this later, you definitely want to change the title of that lesson. All right, then you have your social integration buttons. Below that, though, Send Now, which we'll do here in a second. Send Now sends the video out. So if you like what you've done, go ahead and send that video out if you're ready. Save to Outbox. This is where that Outbox comes into play. So if we're not connected to Wi-Fi and we've completed this lesson, but we don't have an opportunity to send it, rather than try to send it and have it spin its wheels and probably fail, wait till you're reconnected to Wi-Fi, hit save to Outbox, and then wait till you're reconnected to Wi-Fi. And then when you are, you'll just go back to that Outbox, hit the refresh button, and that lesson is going to go out. All right. And then obviously discard lesson is just getting rid of it and starting new. The big one on the bottom right. So this is one of the stronger or more powerful functions of the V1 Pro app, as well as the Studio software. It's an opportunity for you to drop in drills and intro clips. So you can add drills that are you talking to the camera, explaining the drill, and then you can add that to the end of the lesson video. Really, really powerful. So especially when it's applicable, if there's a swing flaw that you have a great drill for, you can drop that drill in and make it that much more personal for the student. I'll show you how to do that. Hit the plus symbol there at the bottom. I'll go back just so you guys can see. I'm looking at the bottom here next to the trash can. I hit the plus symbol. All right, and that brings up all of our content that's in our locker. So these are the drill videos that are in our locker. I'm just going to add one here, hit done, and now you'll see that it's there after the lesson. The other way that guys are using this, or guys and girls are using this, is if you hit the plus symbol, let's say we had an intro clip, right? So for a lot of guys, this is like a good chance to put their resume. It's a great chance for them to put, any accolades that they might have, business information, contact information. I think on the private side, I've seen the country club logo put in, right? So we'll highlight this Jackson video, and then we'll move it up so it plays before the lesson. So if the Jackson video was an intro clip, this would play before our lesson. So it could be, the country club logo or your business card information or whatever might work for you. And then that plays right into the V1 lesson. And then obviously it could be followed with a drill. So it creates this really nice kind of 2-3 part lesson for the student. Really sends them home with something to work on, especially with regard to the drills. So really, really powerful tool. And I'd be happy to walk anybody through this. We do have an article that lays it out really, really well. And I'd be happy to share that with anybody. And if anybody needs any additional help, like I said, we could sign up for a phone call or a quick training session just to get you up to speed on that. But it is a very, very powerful tool to use when you're creating these lessons. Okay, I'm going to hit send now, and you'll see it's going to send out. It takes about a second or two to send that lesson out. All right, and then I'm going to show you as well on the V1 Golf app where your students are actually going to find that lesson. I did not send it to a real student or anything here, but it is going to work very much the same way. So we'll jump out of the V1 Pro app and we'll jump into the V1 Golf app, right? And obviously before I showed you how to select an instructor, let me go through that really quickly. I'll find myself. So we are in Big Dave's Golf School here, and I should be right at the top. There we go, Will Clark. So now I've made my instructor, as you can see up at the top, Will Clark. But if they've already done that and you just sent them a lesson, I'll show you on the bottom here. If you click on videos, I'll just jump back so you can see me do that again. I go to videos. It's going to show up under lessons, right? So I'm going to have a video here. I have a couple videos actually from a couple different instructors who have sent them to me. But this is where those videos are going to show up for your students under the lessons tab. Okay, so we have the videos at the bottom, and then once they're in the videos section, you have the swings and lessons tab. The lessons tab is where the lessons show up. The swings are where those swing videos are going to show up. So any videos that you send to the student locker, this is where it's going to show up. And that's a good piece to kind of remember too, is that the V1 Golf app essentially behaves as the student's locker. So it's a very, very easy way for them to organize the videos that you send, because the lessons and the swings are all going to go to the locker. Okay, so if I could just do a quick wrap up here, I want to touch on everything one last time as far as delivering the lessons. We have the V1 Golf app here. They're going to select you as the instructor here on the instructor tab. They're going to record their videos with the camera. And I'll just click out of there again. We're in my son's room. And then the videos, they'll all show up here as far as swings and lessons. And then let me go back to the V1 Pro app. And then as far as process on the V1 Pro app, remember, we want you enrolling all of your students. So hopefully you've enrolled them by hitting this plus symbol here, enter the details yourself, and then I'll just choose one here. And now we have this file on David Clark. Let me see if I can go back to webinar. It should have a video in it now. Let's see. There we go. So now we have a lesson video for webinar that we created. So you'll see that everything is automatically associated. So that really stresses the important, as you'll notice at the bottom, of selecting the student that you're working with as the current student. So select the student as current. We do that by opening their file. We create a video for them by clicking on the camera. And then once we click on the camera, you'll know that it opens up to kind of this play window here. Let me show you again on a different video. There we go. So this is what the play window looks like. Once you're done recording, it's going to bring you here. And then obviously I detailed all of the different things that you can do on here. So I do want to leave some time here to answer some questions. I know Jackson's been kind of picking them off here as we go. But if anybody has any questions, please submit them to the chat box. Otherwise, email us after, and we'd be happy to take a look and answer those questions for you.